Okay, hello. My name is Hannah Hamilton. I'm an intern for Preschool Readers. At Preschool Readers, we understand that many factors affect a child's learning process. To stay up to date on the best practices, we have an expert interview series. In this series, we interview experts who provide tips, tricks, and any suggestions for parents for preschoolers. A new school year is approaching, and we know that many parents are looking to get through meal planning and packing lunches. And the school day can look long and hectic, and it can be tough to make sure that your child is eating healthy meals and snacks and having a well-balanced diet. As an expert in her field today, I'll be interviewing expert Kayla Abella, Holistic Registered Dietitian and owner of the Nutrikay Wellness. So, Kayla, I'd like to start and hear a little bit about you. What services do you provide and whom do you serve?
Of course. Well, thank you so much for having me. I currently provide a lot of one-on-one nutrition counseling services. That's the main aspect of Nutrikay Wellness, but I have also launched a few different programs just to specifically cater to parents and children. I've done lunch and learns, snack and learns, just covering different topics that would come up in pediatric nutrition, including things like allergies, any kinds of different deficiencies that might be going on, failure to thrive, things like that, as well as covering topics that go around eating disorders because they are becoming more and more prominent in today's society. So I have those group programs as well.
Absolutely. And before we begin, can you just give us a broad overall definition of what pediatric nutrition is?
Of course. So pediatric nutrition is essentially nutrition that's catered to children, anybody under 18. It really varies depending on the age group. So we usually categorize it based on ages 0 to 6 months, then 6 to 12 months, age 2 to 4, etc. Going all the way up until 18 or 19. And each age group, it's very specific to their needs in their growth stage. And we do cater specifically to the pediatric patient as well. So everybody's different with where they are in their growth stages, their height, their weight, maybe their medical history as well. So we cater to that as well.
Yeah, that's honestly so good to know because I feel like it's such a broad topic, being able for you guys to kind of narrow down the child based on their age and all their deficiencies or whatever. That's just absolutely amazing. What are some nutritional guidelines for preschoolers and kindergartners age and stage of development?
Of course. So it definitely does vary depending on the patient themselves, if they have any pre-existing conditions as well. But generally, we like to say ages 2 to 4 in preschool. We keep the calories around 1,000 to 1,500. Protein, we like to keep it at 2 to 4 ounces per day, 1 to 1.5 cups of fruits, 1 to 1.5 cups of vegetables. Grains are at 3 to 5 ounces, dairies at 2 to 2.5. Those are more specific standards for girls. Specifically for boys, it varies. I think calories go up to 1,600 rather than 15. There's a little bit more protein, so it's 2 to 5 for boys. Fruits are the same. Vegetables is up to 2 cups of vegetables. Grains is up to 3 to 5 ounces. Dairy is 2 to 2.5. So they're specific based on the Mayo Clinic guidelines, but again, everything can vary depending on the patient.
Okay, very nice. So for children that obviously are have more of like a picky sense of eating, what are some healthy snacks that a parent can pack for a child's lunch going into school?
Of course. So I think that it's okay to do the prepackaged snacks when it comes to going into school. It makes it easier for allergies and such. And it's kind of more fun for the children because
Mhm.
oftentimes it'll be something they can pick at. So things like yogurt bites are great. The apple sauces like Go-Go Squeeze is a great option. Sometimes they'll have prepackaged apples with sun butter, or you can make your own. I say sun butter just because many schools have opted to go nut free. So that's a great alternative as well. String cheeses are a great option too. You can make your own on the go snacks as well. So I always provide my clients with really great recipes, including making your own mini muffins, making your own snack bars. If you do prefer to buy a snack bar, Perfect Bars is a great option. Kind bars are good. Go Macro is another good brand. You could also do carrots and hummus. Chocolate hummus is another fun one, and have a sandwich, cereal, just things like that that are very hands-on. They're fun, and they're easy for parents who are on the go because I know parents are very, very busy. So it's great to have something that you can quickly grab.
Right. And say you pack your child this lunch and then they decide to go to school and they want to eat something else, how could you like exactly help that child make their healthy decisions on their own?
So what I like to do, especially I think doing this alongside the help of a professional like a registered dietitian is always helpful, but even just getting your own education by registered dietitians online, that's another option. But learning about how to teach your children the benefits of food. One of the ways I like to do that is I do an activity called Eat the Rainbow, which teaches
Mhm.
children that each different type of food with a different color provides different benefits. And I like to call them their superpowers. So
Mhm.
one instance that I've taught one of the kids that I've worked with is they had some cuts or whatever from running around on the playground. And I was like, well, if you eat yellow foods, it's really great for your skin. So it'll give you super skin and it'll make your
Mhm.
boo-boos go away faster. Or if they eat something that's orange, it'll give you supervision. So different things like that, it helps
Yeah.
them get a little bit more excited about food, gets them more in the mood. And another thing I always suggest to parents is getting your child involved in the cooking process, teaching them about making the food, helping them make their own meals for themselves so that's something they're proud of. That's
Mhm.
something that they won't really want to not have at school. So when it comes to trading foods or maybe not eating their lunch, if they make it on their own or they made it with mommy or daddy, they'll be really excited to say, hey, I'm proud of this. I'm excited about this. And they'll want to eat the food more.
Right. All of what you're saying really reminds me of my own personal experience as well. Like I'm the like youngest child of four siblings, so I think by the time I rolled around and school lunches were being made for me, my dad would always say, the more color the better, pack with greens, it'll make you do this, it'll make you run faster. So just to give those tips is definitely like gives that kid more a desire to eat healthier.
Yeah.
So what would you recommend for, or what are some signs actually that a child might have been developing like a food allergy or intolerance?
So usually the signs are a little bit earlier in their stages of growth, but it can appear later on in life. So it's always good to be aware. But anything like digestive concerns, skin concerns as well, like rashes or bumps, hives. If they say that, I've noticed some children will say, my mouth hurts. It actually means their
Hmm.
throat hurts. So anything about the mouth, or the lips or the jaw, any kind of irritation, they'll usually be able to indicate that to you unless you do have a child with any kind of learning disability. In that
Right.
case, you want to be a little bit more hyper aware of maybe the way that they're touching their mouth, or if they're touching their stomach, they might have some kind of pain.
And if it's not specifically like a food allergy or intolerance, what are just some signs that a child might need to seek a nutritional session?
Definitely going to your annual checkups, or for some children in the earlier stages, they do have to do like monthly, then sometimes it's biannual, but making sure that the doctor is aware of their height and weight, their growth, stuff like that. So anything that's indicative of failure to thrive, or they're not meeting their growth threshold, that might be indicative that they need to see a registered dietitian. Or from the parent's perspective, if you just see that your child's not eating enough, you feel like they're not getting the proper nutrition, you might need a little bit more guidance on that. That's a great option as well. And then any kind of digestive concerns, if you're seeing loose stools, belly aches, constantly throwing up more than the average child, because I know sometimes, especially with Halloween kind of around the corner,
Hmm.
um, eating a lot of sugar and stuff, that's more
Right.
normal. But if it's constant spitting up, throwing up, anything like that, you might want to kind of get some professional help with that and guidance. And then, of course, allergies, intolerances, anything like that, just guidance on that. And then, last but not least, signs of disordered eating. You do want to make sure that you're getting intervention from a professional early on, because that is something that will develop over years.
And just for my own personal question, what would like a session like look like? Is it like really like a long thing and do you come like back? Is it like a reoccurring sort of situation or how would that work?
So I usually do an initial session, which is about an hour to an hour and 15 minutes. And that's where we do a deep dive into what you're looking for out of
Hmm.
nutrition counseling. How can I help you and your child best meet your goals and your needs? And then after that, we have a lot of follow-up sessions. I usually book at least 1 to 2 follow-up sessions in the future, and then we'll book as time goes on to see what you need, how often you need. But typically, I recommend bi-weekly checkups, because I think 2 weeks in between our sessions gives enough time to reach your goals and make any adjustments to your plan that are needed. But keeping a consistent or consistency with your schedule and with
Mhm.
meeting with the dietitian is really important because you're able to check in on your goals, you're able to make adjustments to your plan, and you're able to ask questions because things change throughout the week. Things might pop up and you're like, maybe I
Right.
need a little bit of help with that. So that's typically what our session lengths and timeline looks like. And
Mhm.
during the sessions, we discuss things like what your concerns are. I do a lot of education because I do feel like providing the autonomy to my clients in order to help
Absolutely.
them meet their needs is the most important thing.
Yeah,
Mhm.
of course. Education on both sides, absolutely.
Yeah.
What do you like, what are some tips for some parents that have some really picky eaters out there?
Yeah, so I have to say, definitely getting them involved is probably my top tip. I have to say, getting them involved in the cooking, teaching them about food, having family recipes and implementing that into their
Mhm.
lifestyle, into tradition. That's something that's really important. Making it fun too. So having different utensils and plates and cups that
Mhm.
maybe have their favorite character on it. So I know like for a while when I was nannying for this family, Frozen was it. So we had frozen cups, frozen plates, frozen utensils, and it just made the meal special for the child that I was babysitting for. So I think that's definitely something to just get them excited about it. I always say serving your dessert with the meals, that's something that people they look twice at me about and they're like,
Yeah.
really? But it actually helps with making sure that the child knows that dessert isn't really a reward. It's more so something that we enjoy. So all of the foods are enjoyable. Because I think if you have dessert as something like, okay, you have to finish your broccoli to get to your dessert, it
Mhm.
gives the broccoli a negative feel. They start to think,
Right.
okay, something's wrong with the broccoli because I have to do that.
Mhm.
And dessert is the good one because I want to do that. So
Yeah.
kind of mixing it together, that's another thing I say is always good. And then just like fun shapes, I always say. So like
Mhm.
cutting sandwiches into like hearts or
Yeah.
flowers or like lightning bolts, whatever. That always makes it fun as
Mhm.
well.
I know I've seen that so often on a lot of social media, just a lot of like the bento boxes and like you can buy like stamps on Amazon that carve out, like a heart or a star and just make it more interactive. So it's definitely a good idea.
Yeah.
And then what are some signs and symptoms of nutritional deficiencies and how would that affect an overall child's learning process?
Yeah, so I think the first sign that we usually see is a lot of lethargy, so lack in energy. And we know kids are
Hmm.
so energetic and they're always running around
Right.
and doing so much. So when you see a kid kind of drop off in energy, it could be a sign of many different things. But if you've noticed that they're not eating as much, then the two could be correlated and it might be a time to talk to the doctor.
Hmm.
Definitely a drop in weight, any kind of skin issues, hair
Hmm.
issues, you see hair thinning, if the hair's not as soft. Curved nail beds could be indicative of any kind of nutrition deficiency. Um, and tooth decay is another big one that we might
Hmm.
see, blackening of the teeth. So those are just like physical signs and symptoms that you
Hmm.
might see in a child who is having some kind of nutritional deficiency.
Yeah, that's absolutely good to know because I'm sure it's really hard for parents to pinpoint whether it's like a nutritional issue or it's like another sort of medical problem. So it definitely is good to keep those in mind. And then any fun books that you recommend that parents could read their children or maybe teachers to encourage and promote healthy eating?
Of course. So for parents specifically, there's a few books that I have, and it might not be something that they read to the children, but I also have
Mhm.
ones for kids. But for parents, I know Child of Mine by Ellen Sater. That's a really good one. It's Not About the Broccoli by Dinah Rose is another great one. How to Raise a Mindful Eater by Marianne Jacobson. That's another great one. And then for kids, my favorite one that I always recommend to my clients, and I send it to them sometimes, is Pete the Cat 3 Bite Rule. I think that's a great book for
Mhm.
teaching kids to try new foods and just have a 3 bite rule to test it out and really challenge themselves in trying new foods. The Very Hungry Caterpillar is a classic. Dragons Love Tacos. I really love that one because it
Mhm.
exposes kids to a food that many kids don't really eat is
Mhm.
tacos. So that's something, it makes it fun. They start to think about it in terms of dragons and tacos, so it gets
Mhm.
them excited. I Won't Eat That, My Foodie ABC, and Everyone Cooks Rice. Those are really, really great books for just reading to children, great for teachers to bring to school as well.
Yeah, that's awesome. I'll definitely like link that in the newsletter so people can check them out. Yeah, I mean, I just feel like it's so interesting and so relevant to talk to you about this because eating is such an important part of our day-to-day life that if you start your child to kind of understand that it's, really treat your body as well as you can and eat the best foods, I think it's a really, really good start to a healthy life. And then just for fun, how would you describe yourself as a preschooler?
I would have to say I was very adventurous. I
Mhm.
spent a lot of time outdoors, playing with worms in the dirt, just kind of exploring nature. So definitely an adventurous kid.
Very nice. And then how can parents just connect with you overall?
Of course. So my email is nutrikaywellness@gmail.com. So they can always reach out to me via email. Nutrikay is Nutrikay wellness@gmail.com. I also answer phone calls, so any kind of phone or text at 908-827-6174. And then my website is www.nutrikaywellness.com. Instagram is @nutrikaywellness. So lots of forms of communication. Anyone works. I'm always on there, and I respond quite quickly. So.
Okay, well, any interested families that are able to reach this Zoom and learn more about you, they will have all your information, and I will definitely link that. What you do is so amazing and important. So, again, thank you so much for your time. And before we wrap up, is there anything else you'd like to share or suggest for families?
I would just say make food a priority early on in life because I think oftentimes food can become transactional in life and it's something that we forget can be tied to tradition, to social life, to family, friends. And I think getting your little ones involved in cooking, getting them excited about food is really, really important to their growth, development, and their relationship with food in general. So that's about it. But
Very
thank you
nice.
so much for having me. This was wonderful. And I'm excited that I got to share all this with you guys.
Yeah, thank you so much again, Kayla.
Thank you.